Hi everyone, welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio and tonight's YouTube Live. I'm Lisa Curcio. If this is your first time visiting me tonight, I am so glad that you've joined me. I hope to inspire you, give you some tips along the way, and I hope to teach you a couple things as well. For those of you that are returning, you may look behind me and think, wow, things look really different. Yes, my husband, who we call Bob the Builder, has been very busy assembling and building, and we're really happy with the results. We are hoping to do a video with a craft room tour soon so that you guys can get to see what we've done here. We're excited to share those with you. I'm so glad that you've joined us. Now, if this is your first time on a YouTube Live, I want to go over a couple things with you very quickly. First, I want to introduce you to Megan. Megan's name is in blue if you are here during the live, and her name will be off to the side. She is my virtual YouTube assistant, and she helps moderate the comments and keep up with the conversation because obviously I'm going to be stamping, my head's going to be down at the table, and oftentimes I miss things. If you ask a question that Megan is unable to answer for some reason, I do come back on once the live is over and I will respond to you at the very bottom with an answer to those comments. And remember, in order to chat, you need to be logged into your YouTube account, which would be your Gmail address. And last but not least, remember there is a delay of about 10 seconds between when I'm speaking and when you're actually hearing it. And the same holds true if you type a comment. I don't see it for about 10 seconds after that. I think we're set. All the formalities are out of the way. Let's get started on tonight's project. I'm going to turn the camera down. Just give me a minute to get you situated. I am fighting allergies, so bear with me if I have to clear my throat. I do apologize. I don't mean to make you dizzy either, but I want to get you zoomed in nice and close and get you straight. Nothing worse than crooked wood grain, right? All right, I'm going to bring in some scratch paper because I want to make sure I protect that work surface so we don't get ink on it. And I'm going to be using only 2 colors of ink pads tonight. The first one is going to be Melon Mambo, so I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And the second is going to be Coastal Cabana. I like to choose my colors to coordinate with the designer series paper if that's what I'm going to be using, and I am tonight. The stamp set that I'm going to be using tonight is called Sweetest Thing. I fell in love with these old-fashioned apothecary candy jars. I don't know about you, but still to this day, I know Cracker Barrel, which is a really famous Southern type of restaurant here in the South, still has these jars filled with candy in their store. And maybe you even have a local nickel and dime type drugstore in a smaller town that has these as well. Lots of fun, very nostalgic, and I think that this is never going to go out of style. So we're going to be using this. Now it's offered as a bundle if you want the coordinating framelets. Now the coordinating framelets not only cut out these pieces, but there are some additional pieces in here that cut out some candy pieces as well as some frames. So I think you're going to really enjoy those. You're going to find this product in the current occasions catalog with Stampin' Up. Now, if you don't already have a Stampin' Up demonstrator and you're interested in receiving complimentary copies of the current catalogs, I would be more than happy to send those to you. Just leave me a comment below. And we still have just a few days left of Stampin' Up's largest sale of the year. If you spend $50 before shipping and tax, you can choose something for free. Those details are all on my website at lisastampstudio.com. I've mounted my pieces, and I'm going to start by doing my stamping. I've got a very small panel of Whisper White cardstock here, and I am going to grab my first image, which is these little jelly beans from the stamp set. I'm going to slide this over because I want you to be able to see the ink pad if we can get it all in there. Yep, I think we can. So I'm going to ink that up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time, or the very best that I can, and fill this in. I want this panel to have some candy on it. Now, oftentimes people say to me, well, I love those kind of stamp sets, but those little images are really challenging, Lisa, because I don't know what else to do with them other than their intended purposes. So I want to give you some other ideas tonight. Now, as a tip for you, whenever you're stamping and you've got your chamois or your Stampin' Scrub just off camera, take that excess ink and stamp it off on your scratch paper. That's going to reduce the ink coverage on here so that when you go to clean it like I am right now off camera, it's actually going to keep it a lot cleaner longer because you're not going to have to make trips to kind of rinse that out. Now I'm going to set that one aside, and believe it or not, I got another one here. And this time I have pulled out those adorable little gummy bears from that stamp set. And we're pretty much going to do the same thing. You're going to notice here too that this image is a little bit bowed because it's intended to fit inside those jars. But I love giving you other ideas on what you can do with your stamps besides just what they're meant for. And this is a great card for that. And I'm going to give you lots of tips about mounting this too in just a few minutes. Okay, we've got our second panel. I'm stamping off that extra ink to save myself trips of rinsing out my Stampin' Scrub. Now I'm going to slide that over and I'm going to bring in the Coastal Cabana. For those of you that are wanting the cutting dimensions, after tonight's YouTube Live, Megan and I will come back and we will add all that information in the description of this video below. So just hang with us. We're going to make sure we get to that at the end. But of course, that's going to take a few minutes, so you'll have to be patient with us at the very end of tonight's live. And again, this little cluster of candy is perfect for here. Now, one of the great things about photopolymer stamps, that's what this is, it's clear. So you can actually see where you're going, which makes this a lot easier to achieve. And you might notice that it looks a little pink, doesn't it? And that's because I had used it in the Melon Mambo ink on a previous card. And by doing that, what it does stain the photopolymer a little bit, but it doesn't hurt it. So just make sure you clean it off on your chamois or your Stampin' Scrub and you are good to go. So I've got my 3 panels. I'm going to set those off to the side. Now, while I've got my ink out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in this large frame from the stamp set. And I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to stamp that right here. Isn't that sharp? I really, really like that. Same thing, we're going to stamp off that ink. And then I'm going to bring in the greeting from that stamp set as well. And this one says, Sweets for You. You're going to notice that the stamp set has several different greetings in it. Make sure you hang with me to the end of the video because I've got some other samples I want to share with you using this exact same bundle of products. And I'm going to stamp that right here in the center. Isn't that cute? Again, just 2 colors, nice and simple. I'm going to go ahead and close these up because an open ink pad on my desk is always a disaster waiting to happen. Is anybody else with me? Seems I always land in it one way or the other. I'm going to move this off to the side and I'm going to bring in my Big Shot because that has a die that's going to die cut that image. There's no fussy cutting required when you buy the bundle. Keep in mind when you buy as a bundle, which means the stamps plus the coordinating dies, you're going to save yourself 10%. And I don't know about you, but I would not want to fussy cut those images. So go ahead and get the bundle. Save yourself a couple dollars. I'm lining it up, and I have my magnetic platform underneath this clear plate. That's just my platform of choice. It is not required. It just helps keep my dies in place a little bit better. I've got another clear mat that I'm going to put over the top to protect it, and then I'm going to crank that through. Any popping and cracking that you hear in the Big Shot is completely normal. It's from the rollers that compress the die in order to cut it. So I'm just going to grab that right off of there out of the view. There we go. So we've got that die. And then I've got my frame here. Well, I didn't do a really great job of die cutting that. Oh, well, you know what? We're going to camouflage it. I'm going to give you some tips on that. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet. If you don't have this, I would love to entice you to go check it out in my website. It's lisastampstudio.com and it's called the Silicone Craft Sheet. The one reason I love it is adhesive will not stick to it. It will rub right off. The same with liquid glue and hot glue, which makes it a great companion in your stamp studio or your stamp table because it will keep your surface here sticky free. Now I'm going to bring in some designer series paper, and that is from that same suite of products. So the Sweetest Thing bundle is featured on an occasions catalog page. That was almost a mouthful, where there are other products that coordinate with it, and the designer series papers are really, really fun. I'm going to use it this way tonight, but you can see on the other side, we also have another pattern. Most of the Stampin' Up! Designer series papers are double-sided. The only exceptions would typically be those with foil or metallics. The great thing about this is even though the designer paper may be themed in a suite of products, the other side is usually very generic so that you can use it all year round. I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to add adhesive to the back side. Slide that out of the way a little bit. I'm going to bring in a piece of Coastal Cabana cardstock. And again, I'm going to have all the cutting dimensions for you at the end of tonight's live. We'll get those posted in the description of this video. I'm going to mount this near the very bottom. I'm looking to leave, about 1/8 of an inch frame here at the bottom and along the sides. And remember those panels? Let's go ahead and let's start adhering those. And I'm going to start with this one. This was the jelly bean. That was the first one that I stamped. I'm turning it over here on the silicone craft sheet because it is rather small, and I want to make sure I don't get that adhesive on my work surface. I find it very difficult to do things this way, so I'm going to turn it. That's a tip for you because I find that most people can attach things this way horizontally better than they can vertically. And honestly, I can't do many things straight. Now, what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to line up the outside edge of this Whisper White cardstock that I've stamped on to the outside edge of this Designer Series paper. So they're relatively even. The next panel is going to go here. Now you're probably thinking, wow, why didn't you work like an order? Because this is part of the tip I want to share with you. If you work from the outside and then center it, you're going to find that you have far better success of getting them even. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to add adhesive on the back side of this panel as well. And then I'm going to mount this one here on the opposite end, looking to do the exact same thing. I'm looking to leave about that 1/8 of an inch, looking here to kind of line it up the best that I can. And remember that last one? Here we go. Now we're going to fit this one in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to the back side. And now I'm going to be able to gauge with the space that's left over. The cutting dimensions that I'm going to give you are going to make this so easy. So now we've got this triple panel card. So far, so good, right? Do you remember this little label that we created? Well, I want to add a little bit of something here. It doesn't necessarily have to have it because the cardstock peeks through, but I thought that would be really fun. And I love the coordinating ribbon to this suite of products. One side is Coastal Cabana, one side is Granny Apple Green, so it's reversible and it's satin, so it's so nice and soft and easy to work with. Believe it or not, you can use your adhesive on this satin ribbon. It works like a charm. If you prefer glue dots, that works well. I want the Coastal Cabana side up. So I'm going to lay it here on my silicone craft sheet. Here's another great tool specifically for this because any excess adhesive on here is not going to leave my work surface sticky. And then I'm going to come over here to that card and I'm going to line this up right where I want it. And I'm just going to kind of center that on there and I'm going to take those raw ends and I'm wrapping it to the back. If you don't cut your ribbon and you go all the way around, you have literally wasted at least 3 to 4 inches on every single card. So I'm going to highly recommend that you cut and then leave the raw ends to the back if it's going to be a layer. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I am going to add some dimensionals to the back side. Now these are double-sided pre-cut pieces of foam tape and I put them on either side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the paper backing and I'm just going to remove those. Sometimes these are difficult to get off, especially because I have short fingernails. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your fingernail here and press on that dimensional. This is a tip for you. And then lift up that paper backing. And that's going to make it a lot easier to come off. I'm going to place that over here to the right side. And now I've got my card base. Now I've got another step to this card. We're not quite finished yet, so bear with me. Here's the Whisper White card base. I have scored it in half just before you joined me, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fold that. Even though I scored, I still match up the raw ends just to make sure, and I like to use my bone folder for that nice crisp crease along the side. And then here's the card base I'm going to attach this to. And then again, I love that silicone craft sheet. I'm going to come in here. Now, some of you may be wondering, is that going to lift around that ribbon? And the answer is going to be no, and I'm going to tell you why, and here's another tip. Take your adhesive or your glue dots, run it right over the top. Remember, this is satin ribbon, and it's very, very likely that it's going to stick well. Typically, satin ribbons are very, very smooth, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this here, leaving a white frame all the way around my card. Now, typically, I always have ink here, so I like to flip this over, and I'm going to rub from the back to make sure that it's pressed down good inside. And then one more step. With that exact same ribbon, I made a bow just before you joined me. Now, you're going to see that that reversible ribbon comes into play. Do you see how that Granny Apple Green shows on one end and not on the other? So here's my next tip for you. We are going to train this, or we are going to do what I call a cheat or a hack to make this work. I'm going to bring in my glue dots for this to adhere that bow. Oftentimes, if you were to come around and try to make the bow will typically want to lay sideways. If you want to do that, that's fine. And you can use a similar hack by using your glue dots. So I'm going to find my end. And I expect those are going to be difficult for you to see on camera because they are clear. and I'm going to take the back side of that knot and I'm going to press it right on top of the glue dot. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to take a couple more because I want to make sure that I've got glue dots on either side of that knot to hold this in place. And I've got one more on this side here. If your glue dots should show by any chance, these really don't, you can just kind of curl them to the back. Do you see this piece here? I'm going to twist it. And then I'm going to lay this right here in that little blank section here on my card. Now, it never fails with satin ribbon. It has a mind of its own, doesn't it? All right, so here comes my other tip for you. I want those ends to look up. So I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick pickup tool, which I absolutely love. There's a protective cap on both ends. I just took this one off. There's a putty tip here that's going to allow you to pick up sequins and small pieces of cardstock. It's fabulous. It comes with a refill that's included. There's an interchangeable dial tip here. This end is like a little spatula, and you can see how gunky it is. I get up underneath those dimensionals if I put them in a wrong place, and it allows me to lift them without destroying my paper. Paper piercing tool on this end, and it comes with a double-sided stylus tool. $10. You cannot believe the great price on this product. I love it. And I love that it comes with the putty refill. So there's no reason to buy the refill right off the bat because it comes with this product. It is not in any of our current publications because it's fairly new. But you can find it on my website at lisastampstudio.com, and it's called the Take Your Pick tool. All right, so back to the glue dots. I'm going to take this paper piercing end and I'm going to kind of scrunch this up. I've got a little ball of a glue dot here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it underneath there, and we're going to just perform what I call ribbon surgery. And we are going to tack this down. And we are going to force this to go in the direction that we want it to. There we go. You know, half the time, things aren't ever how they appear, right? If you've ever looked at a card on Pinterest or even on my website or someone else's, you're going to go and say, how come the bow is so perfect? That's because sometimes we have what I call a card hack. Great ways to make them lay the way that we want. And of course, if those are too long, you can go ahead and take your scissors and trim that up. But that's really a simple card with a simple color palette. Just a little bit of paper and 2 ink pads. Really, really easy. Now let me share those other cards with you that I wanted to show you tonight. They are part of this month's card making kit using this exact same bundle of products. And I have those finished cards here. Now I'm going to give you the pre-cut supplies to make 8 cards. So you're going to make these 2 cards. I'll include the designer series paper, the pre-cut cardstock, and of course, all the scraps that you're going to need. You'll receive a video with step-by-step instructions so you can stamp right along with me at home. Check out the fun fold on this. So you'll be making one of each of these. In addition to that, those of you that prefer written instructions, I've got you covered as well because you're going to get a PDF tutorial that's in color with multiple pictures of all these cards, step-by-step instructions, of course a supply list, and in addition to that, of course, you're also going to have cutting dimensions so that you can duplicate these layouts even for other projects. And then the last 2 are here. So you'll make a total of 8 cards in this month's kit. Now let me turn the camera around really quickly and tell you how you can get your kit. I provide the card kit for absolutely free with any $50 product order. You do not have to order this bundle of product. I'm reaching for it. If you choose not to, perhaps you have something that's very similar to this, or perhaps you have something else in mind. You can order whatever you'd like. If you want your cards to look exactly like mine, I have a complete list over on my website under the Online Classes tab where it says Card Making Kits. And it'll show you everything that I've used. So if you want to make them identical, you certainly can. It is imperative that if you place your order, that you use the exclusive Card Making Kit host code. Otherwise, I will not know that you're intending to get the card kit for free, which is what I would send you for placing your order. Now that exclusive host code is there as well. The last day to place your $50 product order using that code is this Saturday, which I believe is the 16th. It is. I was glancing over at the catalog. Remember, that includes the pre-cut supplies to make the 8 cards with the envelopes, the video, the PDF tutorial, and all of my card making kit customers also receive an added bonus. They receive a private invitation on Facebook to an event called Live with Lisa. Now, if you're not on Facebook, don't worry. Just let me know when you place your order, and I'll be happy to send you the video recording. and the tutorials for that event that I give away for free. Not these tutorials, other ones. I give them an additional 8 tutorials during that event free, as well as product prize patrol. So if your name is drawn, of course, I will send you your prize. So the details on Live with Lisa and the card making kit are over on my website at lisastampstudio.com. I'm just reaching over for tonight's card. Listen, if you have enjoyed this card tonight and the video, please give it a thumbs up. That's a like here on YouTube. It makes them and I both very, very happy. Share it on your other social media platforms with your crafty friends so they can get some inspiration as well. This triple panel is lots of fun and really easy with the tips that I shared with you tonight. And if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would love to have you do so. Make sure you click that small bell icon that's next to it. That will give you notifications of when I'm here live on YouTube, as well as when I upload a new video. I will be back live with you right here on YouTube. I'm looking at my calendar, make sure I get the date right. It is Wednesday, March 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I really hope that you will be by to watch with me. I have another brand new project to share with you. Thanks so much, Megan, for all your interaction tonight. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you being